The morning shift at the Galactic Council's Stellar Traffic Control Center started like any other day. Senior Controller ZX-427 settled into her monitoring pod, her 4 sensory tentacles connecting to the neural interface, while her assistant brought her the traditional morning cup of synthesized nectar. The holographic displays showed the usual patterns of commercial vessels and diplomatic shuttles moving through the carefully orchestrated lanes of space traffic around Capital Station. At precisely 8:47 Capital Standard Time, everything changed. The quantum detection arrays lit up with activity that made ZX-427's chromatophores flash brilliant shades of surprise purple. Hundreds of ships were emerging from hyperspace, but not in the standard arrival zones. Instead, they materialized in a spherical pattern that slowly began to rotate and expand, like a flower blooming in the cosmic dawn. Alert status, her junior controller asked, 3 of his eyes wide with concern while the 4th remained professionally focused on his console. Not yet, ZX-427 responded, her years of experience keeping her voice steady. The vessel's formation was too precise, too artistic to be hostile. Besides, they were maintaining a respectful distance from the station's defensive perimeter. Run a configuration analysis. The results only deepened the mystery. Each ship defied standard classification. Some appeared to be research vessels, but their hulls incorporated elements of gardens and habitats. Others bore the hallmarks of diplomatic craft, yet housed what appeared to be entire ecosystems within transparent sections. The designs incorporated curves and spirals that should have been structurally impossible, yet moved with a grace that suggested perfect engineering. As the Council's emergency response teams scrambled to their stations, the fleet arranged itself into an even more impossible configuration. The ships aligned to create what appeared to be a massive 3-dimensional representation of a double helix, rotating slowly in space. Light played across their hulls in patterns that mimicked the aurora borealis of a dozen different worlds. Then came the transmission, broadcast simultaneously across all standard frequencies in perfect galactic standard. Good morning, Capital Station. Human diplomatic fleet requesting docking permission. We hope we haven't arrived too early. We brought coffee. The voice was warm, friendly, and completely unfamiliar to the Council's extensive xenolinguistic databases. More surprising was the gentle humor in the message, something rarely heard in first contact situations. ZX-427's chromatophores shifted to curiosity green as she noticed something else. The transmission had been perfectly modulated to be comfortable for every known species' auditory range. Coffee? She wondered aloud, the unfamiliar word tickling her translator implant. Before anyone could respond, small holographic projections appeared at every control station. They showed a steaming dark liquid in various containers, accompanied by detailed chemical analysis and cultural context. The presentation was flawless, every species seeing it in a format best suited to their sensory capabilities. "They've hacked our systems," someone shouted, but ZX-427 waved her tentacles in negation. "No," she said, studying the elegant code structure of the transmission. "They didn't break in. They figured out exactly how our communications protocols work and composed this presentation to fit perfectly within them. This isn't an invasion of our systems. It's a gift of information wrapped in respect for our technology." The council chambers erupted in excited discussion as the human fleet continued its mesmerizing dance against the starfield. As ZX-427 prepared to respond to the docking request, she noticed her morning nectar had gone cold. Somehow, she suspected this mysterious coffee would soon become her new preferred start to the day. The grand reception chamber of the Galactic Council had never felt so small. Designed to accommodate representatives of over 3,000 species, its soaring crystalline walls and floating platforms suddenly seemed inadequate as the first human delegation prepared to make their entrance. Councillor Vexnera of the Protocol Committee frantically reviewed the scanning results one last time. These humans were bilateral bipeds with remarkable similarities to several member species, yet their environmental suits defied any standard classification. The massive doors whispered open, and the chamber fell silent. Senior Ambassador Chen led the human delegation, her environmental suit shifting like liquid starlight. As she moved, the suit's surface rippled with colors and patterns that somehow resonated with the emotional frequencies of each species she passed. The aggressive red-crowned feathers of the HFY representatives softened to a peaceful rose. The electromagnetic aura of the quantum collective harmonized with the suit's emanations, creating tiny rainbow auroras in the air. Distinguished members of the Galactic Council, Ambassador Chen began, her voice carrying the warmth of a summer breeze. Earth extends its greetings and gratitude for this welcome. She gestured to her team, who carried what appeared to be simple metallic cubes. At some unseen signal, the cubes unfolded like origami butterflies, transforming into floating displays that scattered throughout the chamber. Each display adapted itself to the nearest viewers. For the photosynthetic chloros, it became a crystal that refracted light into perfect nutrient wavelengths, while showing Earth's vast forests. The silicon-based Petrovi received vibrations that resonated through their crystalline forms, telling the story of Earth's geological history. The gaseous nebulons experienced shifts in atmospheric pressure that painted pictures of Earth's changing seasons. We believe true diplomacy begins with understanding, Chen continued, approaching the central platform. Her suit synchronized with the chamber's architecture, creating a bridge of light that she crossed with practiced grace. Therefore, we've prepared these presentations to share our world in ways each of you can truly experience. The Council's senior xenobiologist, Dr. Zith, couldn't contain her scientific curiosity. Her sensory stalks wavered as she studied the human suits. The adaptive properties, impossible. The energy requirements alone. Ambassador Chen smiled. Ah, you've noticed our little innovation. These aren't powered suits in the traditional sense. They're symbiotic membranes that amplify and translate our natural electromagnetic field, what some on Earth call the human aura. They draw power from the same bioelectric field that all living things generate. The chamber erupted in excited murmurs. Several council members activated their personal research terminals, frantically taking notes. The Technocratic Union's representative actually sprouted an additional sensory appendage, something that only happened in moments of extreme scientific excitement. But the real breakthrough, Chen added, her eyes twinkling, is that each suit is also a mobile garden. The outer layer hosts a colony of modified algae that processes carbon dioxide and generates oxygen, while quantum-entangled particles in the algae's chloroplasts power our universal translators. We believe technology should never exist in isolation. Everything should serve multiple purposes while contributing to the ecosystem. As if to demonstrate, the surface of her suit suddenly bloomed with tiny luminescent flowers. The sweet scent that wafted through the chamber somehow managed to be pleasant to every species present, a feat that the Council's environmental engineers had been trying to achieve for centuries. In the observation gallery, Zix 427 sipped her first cup of coffee and watched with satisfaction as the Council discovered what she had sensed from the beginning. These humans were going to change everything. The Grand Scientific Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council hummed with anticipation. Thousands of the galaxy's brightest minds had gathered, their various appendages and sensory organs focused intently on the central stage. Dr. Aisha Patel adjusted her presentation interface, her environmental suit synchronizing with the hall's holographic systems in a display that made several quantum physicists exclaim in appreciation. So, she began, dark eyes twinkling. We were actually trying to solve our energy crisis. Funny how the biggest discoveries happen when you're looking for something else entirely. With a gesture, she conjured a perfect replica of Earth's solar system above the stage. We started with a simple question. Why build massive solar panels when we could fold space to catch sunlight from multiple angles simultaneously? The hologram zoomed in on a section of space between Earth and its sun, showing rippling waves of probability and quantum potential. Several of the hive mind mathematicians buzzed in excitement as they recognized the underlying equations. The breakthrough came from an intern who spent too much time watching cat videos. Dr. Patel continued, triggering appreciative trills from species who had already fallen in love with Earth's feline population. She noticed that her quantum probability calculations resembled the patterns a cat makes when chasing a laser pointer. That's when we realized, space-time doesn't just bend, it plays. The hologram shifted to show a human ship, but not from the outside. Instead, it revealed the intricate dance of energies that powered it. At its heart, artificial quantum auroras pulsed in patterns that mimicked Earth's northern lights, each wave creating minute folds in the fabric of space-time. Traditional engines push against space, Dr. Patel explained, walking through her hologram. Our ships surf it. Each quantum aurora creates a cascade of spatial ripples that we can ride. The more harmoniously we match the universe's natural rhythms, the faster and more efficiently we travel. A young exertion physicist, their crystalline form vibrating with excitement, raised an appendage. But the energy requirements, the computational power needed to predict quantum probability waves. Dr. Patel smiled. That's where the poetry comes in. We don't calculate everything. We've learned to feel the rhythms of space-time, like surfers reading ocean waves. Our ship's quantum cores are paired with intuitive interfaces that translate spatial fluctuations into sensory experiences, colors, sounds, textures. Our pilots don't just fly. They dance with the universe. To demonstrate, she activated a small device on her wrist. The air around her began to shimmer with delicate patterns of light, each one corresponding to a different quantum probability state. As she moved her hands, the patterns shifted and flowed like an ethereal symphony. Every particle in the universe is connected through quantum entanglement, she continued. We didn't invent anything new. We just learned to listen to the music that was already there. Our ships don't fight against universal constants. They join the cosmic dance that's been going on since the Big Bang. The presentation concluded with a demonstration that left even the most skeptical scientists speechless. Dr. Patel's device created a miniature spatial fold right there in the hall, connecting 2 points in space so seamlessly that it looked like a soap bubble made of starlight. Through it, the assembled scientists could see and feel the quantum rhythms the humans had learned to traverse. As the lights came up, a hive-mind mathematician expressed what everyone was thinking. They've taught us that physics without poetry is just mathematics, but physics with poetry is magic. The applause that followed came in every conceivable form of appreciation from across the galaxy. The transformation of the human fleet had the entire galactic media sphere buzzing with excitement. Ships that once formed a double helix now flowed into new configurations, creating interconnected spaces that defied conventional architecture. Each vessel merged seamlessly with its neighbors, forming floating galleries, theaters, and gardens that welcomed visitors from across the cosmos. Marina Torres, Earth's cultural attaché, stood in the central hub of what had been designated the stellar crossroads. Her environmental suit rippled with patterns inspired by Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night as she greeted a group of crystalline beings from the Sirius sector. "Welcome to Earth's traveling exhibition," she said, her words translated into harmonics that resonated pleasantly through their silicon-based forms. Today's feature is a zero-gravity performance of Swan Lake, followed by an interactive demonstration of capoeira, a Brazilian martial art that looks more like a dance. Above them, in a spherical chamber of transparent aerogel, human dancers in illuminated suits moved through the weightless space. Their movements left trails of light that formed ephemeral sculptures in the air, telling stories without words. The crystalline visitors vibrated in harmony with the music, their faceted bodies refracting the light show into countless rainbow patterns. In another section, dubbed The Taste of Earth, holographic chefs prepared dishes from every human culture. Advanced molecular gastronomy techniques allowed them to recreate Earth flavors using ingredients safe for each species' biology. A group of methane-breathing entities experienced the essence of fresh-baked bread through carefully calibrated chemical reactions, while photosynthetic visitors absorbed the nutritional and aesthetic equivalent of sushi through specially modulated light frequencies. The real magic, Marina explained to a fascinated group of energy beings, is that none of this is just for show. The plants in our hydroponics galleries help maintain our life support systems. The kinetic energy from our dance performances helps power the environmental controls. Even the heat from our cooking demonstrations is recycled into the ship's energy grid. The exhibition's centerpiece emerged during the second cycle of Capital Station's Day. The entire human fleet, nearly 1,000 ships strong, arranged itself into what the program described as a cosmic orchestra. Each vessel became an instrument, using gravitational waves, electromagnetic frequencies, and quantum resonances to create music that could be experienced by every known form of consciousness. The performance began with a piece called Earth's Voice. The sound of waves crashing on beaches, wind through mountain peaks, and the songs of whales, all translated into a universal symphony. It progressed through interpretations of humanity's greatest musical works, from Beethoven to Beyoncé, each piece adapted to include new instruments that could only exist in space. "This is unprecedented," declared a member of the Harmonic Convergence, their plasma-based form pulsing with excitement. "We've never encountered a species that turned their entire fleet into an art installation." Marina smiled as she watched a group of young xenoanthropologists experiencing a virtual reality tour of Earth's greatest museums. On Earth, we have a saying: "Art is not what you see, but what you make others see." We believe first contact shouldn't just be about showing who we are, but creating something new together. As if to demonstrate her point, the fleet's configuration shifted again, responding to the resonant frequencies being emitted by the assembled alien audiences. The human ships began incorporating these new harmonics into their performance, creating a truly interstellar collaboration that had never been heard before in the history of the galaxy. After all, Marina added, watching the spontaneous artistic fusion with pride, the best cultural exchange isn't just sharing what we bring. It's discovering what we can create together. The celebration at Capital Station reached its peak during what the humans called Earth Festival Week, when the first warning signs appeared. Deep space sensors detected unusual fluctuations in Proxima Centauri Beta, a star supporting 5 inhabited worlds across its life-bearing zone. The Galactic Council's Astronomical Division noted the changes but labeled them as concerning but not immediate. Captain Sarah Chen was giving a tour of her ship's adaptive gardens to a group of photosynthetic diplomats when her environmental suit's neural interface pinged with the alert. The subtle shift in her expression caught the attention of Dr. Zith, who had become fascinated with human micro-expressions. "Something troubles you, Captain," the xenobiologist's translator hummed. Sarah's fingers danced through holographic data streams only she could see. The star's core oscillation patterns. "They're familiar. We saw something similar in archived data from Earth's own stellar neighborhood." Her eyes widened. "It's going to Nova, and much sooner than your scientists think." Within minutes, the human fleet's celebration mode transformed into a coordinated emergency response. Ships that had been configured as art galleries and concert halls smoothly shifted their modular structures. Walls flowed like liquid metal, internal spaces reorganized, and emergency systems activated with practiced precision. "Council members," Sarah's voice rang clear across all channels, "we estimate less than 30 hours before Proxima Centauri Beta begins critical mass ejection. Our ships can evacuate all 5 worlds, but we need immediate authorization and coordination." The council chamber erupted in chaos. The Bureaucratic Processing Division demanded proper forms. The Emergency Response Committee insisted on risk assessments. The Statistical Analysis Branch began calculating acceptable losses. Sarah's next words cut through the noise. "Earth has weathered many storms. We've learned that in a crisis, the only acceptable loss is 0. We're moving now. Anyone who wants to help is welcome to join us." The human fleet's transformation astonished even those who had spent days studying their technology. Garden ships converted into massive emergency shelters, their hydroponic systems ready to sustain thousands of refugees. Entertainment venues became medical centers, their atmospheric controls perfectly suited for trade units serving multiple species. What truly amazed the Council was the efficiency. Every human ship had been designed with this potential crisis mode in mind. Captain Chen later explained that after Earth's own close calls with natural disasters, redundancy and emergency conversion had become standard features in all human engineering. "We built our ships like we learned to build our cities," she told the Council's Emergency Committee, even as her fleet coordinated the evacuation. Every system serves multiple purposes. Every artistic choice has a practical application. Those decorative patterns on our hulls, they're actually emergency instructions in universal symbolic language. The musical resonance chambers, perfect for mass temporary housing with optimal acoustic privacy. As the evacuation began, the human fleet demonstrated another unexpected capability. Ships paired up in a synchronized dance, their quantum aurora drives linking to create stable wormhole corridors. The passages allowed evacuees to traverse light years in moments, bypassing the normal limitations of space travel. "It's not just about having the right technology," Sarah explained to Dr. Zith as they coordinated rescue efforts. "It's about understanding that every tool, every innovation, should be designed to help others. We learned on Earth that the true measure of advancement isn't what you can build, but how many you can save." The Council watched in amazement as the human fleet, which had arrived as a diplomatic mission, revealed itself to be something far more valuable. A testament to a civilization that had learned to turn its challenges into strengths and its art into salvation. The gathered species of the galaxy witnessed something unprecedented in the history of space travel. The human fleet, nearly 1,000 ships strong, began a transformation that defied conventional physics. Each vessel moved with perfect precision, their quantum aurora drives synchronizing in ways that made senior scientists drop their data tablets in awe. "What you're about to see," Captain Sarah Chen's voice echoed through every communication channel, was originally designed for terraforming operations back home. "We called it the Solar Lotus Formation." Her own flagship took position at the heart of the emerging pattern, its hull gleaming with newly activated energy conduits. Dr. Zith's sensory stalks wavered as she analyzed the readings. Impossible. The power requirements for such synchronization would be impossible using conventional methods, completed Dr. Patel, her environmental suit now configured for maximum energy conductivity. "But we're not fighting against physics, we're asking the universe to dance with us." The fleet arranged itself in concentric layers, each ship connecting to its neighbors through bridges of pure energy. The pattern indeed resembled a lotus flower, its petals made of starships and quantum fire. As the formation stabilized, the ship's collective quantum aurora drives began to pulse in harmony. "The solar lotus doesn't just block the stellar radiation," Dr. Patel explained to the astonished Council scientists. "It channels it. Every ship's hull contains metamaterials that can convert various forms of energy. What would normally be destructive becomes." Her words trailed off as the formation activated its primary function. The stellar energy from the destabilizing star flowed through the human fleet in rivers of light. Each ship processed the radiation, transforming it from destructive force into usable power. The sight resembled a massive art installation, a flower of light blooming in space, drinking in the fury of a dying star. "Power conversion at 120% of projected capacity," reported Commander Jackson, his voice steady despite the unprecedented energy flowing through his ship. "Beginning secondary phase." The inner layers of the formation rotated counter to the outer layers, creating a hypnotic display that served a vital purpose. The movement generated quantum interference patterns, establishing a stable energy grid that extended far beyond the fleet's physical boundaries. "We're not just protecting the evacuation," Sarah explained to the Council representatives watching from Capitol Station. "We're using the star's own energy to power the rescue operations. Every burst of stellar radiation strengthens our containment field and fuels our ship's systems." The operation attracted the attention of every major scientific institution in the galaxy. The Quantum Collective sent their highest-ranking observers, their energy forms pulsing with excitement as they recorded the unprecedented manipulation of fundamental forces. The harmonic convergence declared it the greatest symphony of technology ever witnessed. Even the notoriously stoic Silicon minds admitted that the human approach to physics had opened new pathways of possibility previously deemed illogical. Their primary processing units dedicated significant resources to analyzing how a species so young had developed such an elegant solution to stellar mechanics. As the evacuation continued under the protection of the Solar Lotus, Dr. Zith approached Captain Chen with a question that had been bothering many council members. Why name a defensive formation after a flower? Sarah smiled, watching the energy patterns flow through the fleet like life through petals. Because on Earth, we learned that the most beautiful things in nature are often the most practical. A lotus rises from the mud, transforms challenging conditions into nourishment, and creates beauty in the process. We designed our ships to do the same, to take what could destroy us and transform it into something that helps us grow. The captain's environmental suit shifted to display patterns matching the energy flows around them, a reminder that in human innovation, art and function were always one and the same. The successful evacuation of 5 worlds marked only the beginning of humanity's influence on galactic society. Within days of the Solar Lotus demonstration, the Galactic Council's communication networks nearly crashed under the weight of incoming requests. Every major shipyard, research institution, and cultural center in known space wanted to learn from the species that had turned crisis response into an art form. The Arcturian Grand Shipyards, famous for their brutally efficient designs, completely halted production of their newest battle cruiser line. Instead, their chief architect, master builder Valzen, requested an immediate consultation with human engineers. Our previous approach seems obsolete, they admitted, their crystalline form shifting with embarrassment. We've been building walls when we could have been growing gardens. Dr. Piddle found herself conducting workshops for the galaxy's leading physicists, teaching them to perceive quantum frequencies through color and sound. Your mathematics was always perfect, she explained to a chamber full of eager scientists, but you forgot to listen to the music of the universe. She demonstrated by linking a quantum resonance chamber to a holographic display, showing how the patterns of subatomic particles matched ancient Earth music scales. The Sirius Institute of Cultural Studies established the first Department of Human Innovative Principles, with Marina Torres as its honorary chair. The department's first project involved redesigning space stations to incorporate art galleries that doubled as emergency shelters and gardens that served as both food sources and atmospheric processors. The key isn't just combining different functions, Marina explained to her first class of multi-species students. It's understanding that beauty itself is functional. A pleasant environment improves cognitive performance, encourages innovation, and creates opportunities for connection. Even the notoriously traditional Vulcanites, who had spent millennia building stark, utilitarian habitats, commissioned a human architectural team. Their first collaborative project transformed a military outpost into a living sculpture of crystal and light, its defensive systems disguised as flowing waterfalls of energy. Captain Chen found herself addressing the Council's Strategic Development Committee. Every human ship carries a piece of Earth's history, she explained, her environmental suit displaying scenes from humanity's journey to the stars. We learned that survival isn't just about being strong or efficient. It's about creating something worth preserving. The impact extended beyond technology. The Council archives recorded a surge in cross-species artistic collaborations. A group of plasma-based entities from the Carina Nebula worked with human musicians to create symphonies of light and sound. The Silicon minds, previously focused solely on computational efficiency, began incorporating aesthetic principles into their processing matrices. We're experiencing a renaissance, declared High Counselor Vex Nera during a session on galactic development. The humans haven't just shown us new technology. They've reminded us that innovation without inspiration is merely mechanics. Dr. Zith, now heading a new xenological research division, published a groundbreaking paper titled The Human Pattern: When Function Follows Beauty. Her research demonstrated how human design principles had already begun improving quality of life across multiple species and societies. Perhaps most remarkable, she wrote, is not what the humans built, but what they inspired. By showing us that practical solutions can be beautiful and that beauty can be practical, they've sparked a transformation in how we approach every aspect of galactic civilization. As if to prove her point, the latest designs emerging from shipyards across the galaxy showed a dramatic shift. Gone were the stark, purely functional vessels of the past. In their place arose ships that looked like works of art brought to life, each one incorporating lessons learned from humanity's example of harmonious innovation. The day the human fleet prepared for departure, Capital Station's observation decks overflowed with spectators from across the galaxy. The ships had reassembled into their original formation, but now they were accompanied by an honor guard of vessels from a dozen different species, each one incorporating elements of human design philosophy. Ambassador Chen stood in the Council's Grand Chamber one last time, her environmental suit displaying a subtle pattern that rippled like gentle waves on a calm sea. "We came hoping to join your community," she said, "but you've given us something far more precious: the chance to help shape its future." The chamber's central platform had been redesigned using human principles. As Chen spoke, the crystalline structure resonated with her words, creating harmonies that made her message felt as much as heard. The Council had already implemented many such changes, transforming their traditionally austere headquarters into a living celebration of multi-species cooperation. "Before we depart," Chen continued, "we want to share one final gift." She gestured, and the holographic display showed a new design, a space station unlike anything seen before. "We call it the Harmony Sphere. Each section is designed by a different species, but all flow together using the principles we've shared. Earth pledges to help build this as our first true contribution to galactic civilization." Dr. Zith, now sporting a modified environmental suit of her own, analyzed the design with all four of her sensory stalks. The integration is perfect. The Chlora's photosynthesis chambers feed energy to the Quantum Collective's processing centers, while the Silicon Mine's computational arrays double as art installations. "It's a symphony in structure," finished High Counselor Vexnera, "a physical embodiment of what humanity has taught us." The Council voted unanimously to approve the project, marking the first time in 3 centuries that they had reached instant agreement. As the human fleet prepared for departure, they demonstrated one final innovation. Their ship's quantum aurora drives activated in sequence, creating a cascading pattern of energy that transformed the very fabric of local space. The effect was both practical, creating a new type of hyperspace beacon, and breathtakingly beautiful. "The beacon network will help guide future human ships," Captain Chen explained. "But it also serves as a stellar art installation. Each beacon processes cosmic radiation into visible light patterns unique to its location. You might say we're helping the galaxy decorate itself." The Galactic Council had created a new highest honor, the Terra Nova Prize, for achievements that exemplified the human gift for finding wonder in the practical. Fittingly, the first recipient was a young Exerxian architect who had designed a planetary defense system that doubled as a weather control network and a musical instrument played by solar winds. As the fleet prepared for their final departure, Dr. Zith approached Ambassador Chen with one last question. "Your ship's final formation. It's different from when you arrived. What does it represent?" Chen smiled, gesturing to the fleet as it arranged itself into an intricate pattern. "It's an ancient Earth symbol called the Tree of Life. We arrived as a flower, beautiful but temporary. We leave you with a tree, something that grows, adapts, and provides shelter for others." The fleet's departure created a spectacular display as each ship's quantum wake combined with the others, painting the stars with ribbons of light and colors never before seen in space. The effect would last for several days, a temporary artwork made of stellar fire and human ingenuity. But their true legacy would live on in the changed hearts and minds of the galactic community. In the years that followed, whenever a new innovation combined beauty with function, or a design solved problems while creating wonder, it would be said to have achieved human-grade elegance, the highest praise any creation could receive.